This episode of the James Altucher Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. And look, as many of you know, I have often been broke, depressed, whatever, and I've had to come back when I really felt like just sleeping or lying in bed all day. Therapy has simply saved my life. And sometimes, though, it's expensive. It's expensive either in money or in time, but your mental health is worth it. But that's why with BetterHelp online therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. Even when I was stuck on a book or having problems in a business, therapy gave me new perspectives during very critical times in my life. And with over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. So again, your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/James to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/James.
With a $5 meal deal with new McValue. You pick a McDouble or a McChicken, then get a small fry, a small drink, and a 4-piece McNuggets. That's a lot of McDonald's for not a lot of money.
Prices and participation may vary. McDouble meal $6 in some markets for a limited time only.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show.
The main issue I want to understand is just at a very high level, is there waste, fraud, and corruption in government, and how does it work? That's issue number one. Issue number two is her amazing story, like just how she got interested in this, particularly dealing with her various, being deaf and so on. And then the main thing is I just really want to understand the fraud and possible corruption in government. And that I'm a fan, I'm coming this from a positive place.
Yes, of course. I'm so happy and it's so nice to meet you. So where should I start? I made a lot of discoveries, but I think the biggest thing that happened this week, I was looking for James O'Keefe. He's exposed people in the military. And when I got that, when that happened, the person texted me directly through my phone. And I analyzed this video where this person appeared. Well, it appeared that the video was making a strange NGO called USGLC, which is the U.S. Global Leadership Council. And it's not very big, maybe $10 million, but you need to understand that this thing is full of many politicians from different parties. Sam Ritter, Noam Desker, all these people, many, many people.
And a lot of corporations too, right?
Oh, yes. Lots of corporations, powerful corporations too. Pfizer, it's so many. It's Walmart, Pfizer, huge companies, Catholic Refugee Services, so many things. They took credit for what? They took credit for $95 billion, a $95 billion bill to pass at the end of the year.
To fund USAID?
Foreign aid, whatever that means.
And why did they do that? Why did all these corporations want to increase government funding to foreign aid?
Because the other interesting thing that I started looking for, that I started discovering was all of these companies get money from the government, all of them.
Why would, for instance, Walmart get government funding? And what does that look like? Or you mentioned Disney. I know you mentioned Disney in a post. Why would Disney get government funding for anything?
Honestly, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Why would these huge companies need funding from the government? Disney accepted money for, I haven't looked super deep into it, but it looks like Disney specifically accepted money for film distribution to the military. Like, why does Disney need help distributing film?
Yeah, why can't I get $4 million to send email or to mail films to the military?
I know, it's ridiculous. But I want to share something with you that I haven't shared on Twitter yet. You ready? I figured out that USAID has an outside board full of members from private companies, and they get other benefits. And you know who sits on their boards? They say that they're an advisory board, but we know that they actually influence and give advice to where the money goes. Whoever sits on those boards decides where the money goes. The CEO of USGLC is one of the people who sits on these boards that decides where all this crazy money goes.
So they decide where the U.S. aid money goes?
Yep.
And so
Sure.
is USGLC part of the government? Or it's a separate? Because the U.S. makes it seem it's part of the government.
Technically, they don't accept money, but they're technically private. You know, most of their finance is from Bill Gates, the Gates Foundation, the actual Gates Foundation, and Soros. So, you know, it's like an influence group. It's just a big influence club. They go to Congress and they all lobby and they all try to introduce bills, pass bills, and then they sit on the actual boards of these companies that are awarded this money from these bills, and then they get to decide where the money goes. So it's like they are introducing the bills, they're getting the money from the bill, and then they also get to decide where the money goes.
Are the bills sending money to USAID or directly to Disney or Walmart or whatever? How does the money flow work?
Well, I mean, in the government, I'm still trying to research that. They make it really hard to understand on purpose. It's obvious to me that it's very enmeshed and buried on purpose.
And how do they make it difficult? So they're lobbying Congress, the USGLC lobbies Congress to, let's say, have some huge funding. How does it end up at Walmart or Pfizer or Disney?
Let me step back a little bit. So the USGLC represents many, many top people from a variety of different companies. Walmart, Disney, these are included in this group of people. USGLC itself is quite small. Like I said, it's only around $10 million from private investors that they got. But the company itself, they spend all this money lobbying for laws that benefit them and things like this. And then they're getting paid a lot of money and donations too. It's like the money goes from the top to this little fund and then goes all the way to all of these other companies via lobbying.
People like Bill Gates and George Soros donate to USGLC, and on the GLC board is executives from all these corporations. They lobby government, and then the government passes bills that fund USAID or NGOs or directly to the companies. Which way does the money flow?
The company lobbies, and they make Congress pass the bills. And then USGLC, which are all these leaders of these companies, sit on this committee. Then they decide where the money goes. And what they always decide is that they give it back to themselves. Because all these people on the USGLC are from these companies that are lobbying the government for money. So they just pay themselves.
And what's the company? Like, who's getting funded by Congress? What's the committee? Is it a USAID committee? Is it a government committee? What's the committee that's making these decisions?
I'm still trying to figure that out. It's a hot topic. I was making a thread today, but it's a voluntary foreign aid. That's what they call it, a voluntary foreign aid, called ACVFA. And that influences the board on this voluntary foreign aid. And it influences other committees and people who sit on other committees that do voluntary foreign aid, quote unquote. It's influence where USAID money goes. So we pay for influence. And who sits on the committee is CEO of USLC, also Pepsi Corporation. He's one that sits on there, and many more big names that we know.
And how do they influence USAID?
Well, advice, right? They give advice. They have a list of how they do things, but that's their role. They market themselves as advisors.
To USAID?
Sorry, I don't have details on that. I'm still looking into that. That's part of the deal, but they market themselves as advisors.
And what's the most egregious example, or give an example of a situation where it seems outlandish that Congress allocated money to USAID, USAID then funded some ridiculous organization because of the advice of these people?
There's lots of examples. It's a hard choice to make. It's hard to choose because the stuff is ridiculous. I can't believe it. Yes, I have a good example. Yes, this one's good. So, yes, good one. At some point, USAID, it's not like government money, but I would say that, this morning I found out that Land O'Lakes, the butter, Land O'Lakes, they accepted a couple million, 1 million in USAID money as well.
I think 100 million.
100 million. Yes, 100 million. I don't know why.
So USAID just gave them 100 million and there was no purpose to it?
Oh, well, no, not really. Another weird example I have is that Yale, the university, we give money to Yale to set up a police organization in Mexico. Why do we give money to Yale for them to set up cops in Mexico?
And so who benefits from this? What individuals are benefiting from it? Is there any money being taken out of the system and just put into someone's pockets to make them rich?
It's hard to say. They really hide that on purpose. That's what they really want to hide. Because in my experience, it's very complicated. And normally what happens is that it's not that like one person becomes super rich really quick. Instead, it's an entire organization making itself its own scope. And then it does its own work with its government funding and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's just always about more money. And then it's the organization that they use to hide how everyone gets paid. So it's hard to see who exactly is becoming really rich or if one person is becoming really rich. It's not exactly like that. It's a little bit more. But also, then when an organization becomes bigger, like I was saying, they feel like that justifies more money because you have to pay, right, on top. So if you control $100 million in payment instead of $5 million, then the top people get paid more, right?
Yeah. So from what I understand, USAID funds NGOs, these non-governmental organizations, and they don't really have to account so much for the money. Are there people there, former government officials, who are getting huge salaries at these NGOs, or are these NGOs then taking the money and donating back to political parties, either Democrat or Republican?
It's hard to explain in that way because there's no person who's individually becoming the richest and the worst. It's everyone involved. It's a whole group of people that are skimming off. And then what happens is that the NGOs grow in power because they control more things. And if it's a private company, that means the stock grows as well, which means the top people get raises. And if you're in the company, then you have stock.
I see. So the NGOs, they get money from USAID, that gets money from Congress. The NGOs might then hire Walmart or Land O'Lakes or Disney to provide some services to the government that are irrational, perhaps. And then those stocks go up in the long run.
It's all about collective power. You have to understand that. There's not just one big bad monster. There's no big evil bad person who's controlling all of this. It's not a Lex Luthor situation.
And so what is the agenda of these companies or these NGOs that are benefiting from the government sending them money?
Because the money goes all around. Everyone gets paid. And it's power. It's not only money. It depends on the NGO itself, really. For example, it's clear that Soros has his own motivations, right? But I think for most people, it's just getting money. It's just their job. They're just doing their job. They're just working. And it's this really small faction of people that are made up of both parties, Republican and Democrat, that are trying to control them.
Is any of the money going from USAID to NGOs going back into the political parties through donations?
Not directly, but this morning I was analyzing USGLC companies and I was looking at those. And every company I found paid donation money to Democrats more than Republicans, especially when Harris was against Trump. Almost every single company donated a lot of money to Harris.
Now, Does USAID have a narrative where some of the things they are doing are against U.S. interests?
No, USAID is all about, soft power. It's like the opposite of that. They believe that without foreign aid, then that U.S. democracy will completely fail and that China will take us over if USAID does not have that power. They call themselves a democracy, and it's all in the name of protecting democracy. Because this group of people, they truly believe that if they did not exist, the world would fall and the United States would fall and China would take over everything. They really believe that, and that's why they're doing what they're doing.
And what does Data Republican think? Does she think could that be correct?
I think that's a very hard question. I don't think it's right to influence other countries like that. We shouldn't be financing wars and color revolutions. For example, U.S. aid money finances the circumcisions in Africa. And I think that's just wrong. Like, how is that our business?
Why would they give money to Yale to finance prisons in Mexico? How does Yale help at all?
I don't know. But part of my followers researched that. And Yale has a program where we replace police with therapists. We don't know for sure where the money went exactly. So they give the money to this program for replacing cops with therapists, and they call it like a prototype.
Right. And I imagine it's the same with Land O'Lakes. Like, why would the U.S. government give a butter company, $100 million to spread milk in other countries? I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
And so it seems like they're shutting USAID down, or at least stopping a lot of these programs. Do you think that will stop a lot of the government waste? Or what other areas of government waste are you seeing?
No, because their top priority is not at home. Their top priority is global influence. I would love to believe, and they would love to believe, that the world can't function without them. So when Congress believes their priorities are global influence, I think it can end up replacing all of Congress. I think we would have to replace all of Congress if that started to happen.
And I've noticed a lot of former congressmen end up being executives of NGOs.
Yep, sure do. Oh, yeah.
And is that mostly Republicans? Is it mostly Democrats?
Many of them are on USGLC alone. Many of them are former congressmen on USGLC itself right now, both Republicans and Democrats. It's everybody. It's both sides.
And maybe companies are paying them as advisors. They're going on USGLC, lobbying USAID about where they fund the money.
They all think that we need to influence outside the country so that we can have, and so they just ignore what's at home and pay more attention to what's going on outside of our country.
For instance, Sesame Street in Iraq.
Yep. Oh yeah, that one. Exactly that. Yep.
And how did it get, like, there's one case where Al-Nusra, like a terrorist organization, was funded. How did that happen?
I do not know. I don't know which one you're talking about specifically. Most that I've seen are from donations from COVID.
Take a quick break. If you like this episode, I'd really, really appreciate it. It would mean so much to me. Please share it with your friends and subscribe to the podcast. Email me at altucher@gmail.com and tell me why you subscribed. Thanks. My wife got her first Defender car in 1999, and now we're on our fourth or fifth Defender. And I don't even have a driver's license, but I love driving in it. It's got the ruggedness and the off-roading capabilities of the classic iconic Defender, but it's also got the beauty, the poshness of the newer models. So one day, for instance, you can go off-roading, have fun, have adventures. The next day, you could dress your best and go out on the town. And this May, adventure seekers don't want to miss Destination Defender, an epic weekend festival designed for Defender owners and enthusiasts, taking place in Port Jervis, New York from May 16th through 18th. This is the thing about the Defender versus other cars. It's got an entire subculture of people who love it, and adventure seekers do not want to miss Destination Defender. This unforgettable weekend includes inspiring talks, off-roading courses, chef tastings, live music, and more. So check it out. To learn more, please visit DestinationDefenderUSA.com.
Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quests to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
Well, how did you get started doing this?
Yeah, it's actually funny because I just started talking to the internet about charities. It was all about charity organizations. Then when I started analyzing the Girl Scouts, that's a big business. That's a huge organization in the country. They're all over the country and they sell their cookies, right? We all know the Girl Scout cookies. But when I saw a local troop selling cookies on the internet, that's when the change happened. Then the Girl Scout troops stopped financing locally. And now a lot of the money is from internet sales, but they pay themselves. The money doesn't go back into the local Girl Scout troops. It just stays within the big corporation and it just gets that.
And are they required to send it back to the local Girl Scout troops?
They do, but only a teeny tiny bit, just enough to satisfy the requirement.
And so are other charities enriching themselves that way? Like, let's say the American Heart Association, as an example. How much actually goes to helping people with heart disease?
Yeah, that's why I say always search who is doing the actual work. And you have to do your own research on this, guys. You always have to do your own research. Like, my site is good, but we need to double check everything. Like, do you see people giving food to the hungry? Do you see people building houses? Like, for example, my friend saw a lot of the North Carolina victims. My friend, he was helping the North Carolina victims from the hurricane. He never saw the Red Cross. He never even saw them. Where were they?
And why do you think that is? Like, shouldn't they be there?
Yeah, I know, of course. But that's what they're supposed to do. I've seen people without a home. I've seen homeless people and then people who have $1 billion, and the homeless never benefit.
So then how did you go from this to government, exposing government waste and fraud?
Well, I went to DC and I got recruited and I met with some people there because I have several patents on my work and I was supposed to give some advice. They wanted the exact award ID. They wanted award IDs. And so I decided to build a system so that I could search for the award IDs. And that just went viral. It went absolutely viral.
So on your website, there's a way I can search for award IDs. Why would I do that? Like, what do I learn?
You can learn a lot. But the thing is, you have to search for the names, for the specific titles of the awards, for the people who are related. There's many, many different features on my website you can use. I have like one that you can search up actual names, one that you can search up organizations, ID numbers, things like that. And make sure when you look up something, it's not damning evidence yet. You need to make sure that everyone who uses the website really looks into it and look for the actual information. Like we said earlier, who is actually building the houses or not?
Yeah. And are there examples of organizations that are getting money to build houses or provide malaria nets or whatever, and you think there's fraud occurring? You don't know for sure, but you think that there's fraud occurring.
It's really hard to define what fraud actually means. Fraud can be so many things when we're talking about government. I learned that everybody can explain why they're important. Everybody has a reason why they're unexpendable and why we need them. For example, charities will pay top people huge money and say that it's a good thing because they bring in more money, more net dollars anyway. Like you're getting paid because you're making good money.
Yeah, so it becomes this cycle. So what other parts of the government do you think there might be huge examples of waste?
HHS, Human Health Services, is a big one. Health and Human Services, forgive me. That's where a lot of immigrants are benefit from.
And what about the Department of Defense? Is it easy to use her techniques to uncover waste there?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. The DOD, there's huge. We all know the stories, right? For example, the Hurricane Helene. The Helene bill allocated $100 million in bullets for the Army. I guess the Army can't keep their bullets dry?
That's so interesting because obviously the Helene bill was supposed to help the people hurt by Helene. What did they need 100 million bullets for?
And nothing happened with the victims.
How much annual wasteful spending do you think he will actually cut?
That's really hard to say because we need Congress to agree with us. We need Congress's help. But the Congress people are also benefiting from this setup.
And how are they benefiting?
First, they get grants and donations.
From the NGOs?
Donations from the same companies that accept USAID money. And then they get lobbyists and the NRI and the NDI are the ones who funnel a lot of that money.
What's the NRI and the NDI?
The National Republican Institution and the National Democratic Institute. Congress also sits on both International Republican Institute and the National Democratic Institute. So Congress people actually sit on these boards and they receive a lot of these money, the boards themselves.
From the government?
Right.
Yeah.
So we need Congress's help to stop this, but why would they help us if they're benefiting, if they sit on these boards? And also the IRI and the NDI are a part of who's sitting on the ACBFA that I was talking about earlier, that board that's all about foreign aid.
And that's the board that advises USAID.
Yes, correct. The committee that advises where outside USAID dollars go. All enmeshed. It's really all enmeshed. It's deep.
And what's the deal with Social Security? Is there a lot of money going to 300-year-old people?
No, I can't for sure say because I don't have access to the Social Security database. I don't have access to that database, so I can't say, but I will type down what I think here. Again, be aware, I don't have access to that, so I haven't been able to really drill down. Mark Hemingway discovered that the government is built from the bottom up to accommodate multiple people for Social Security numbers. It was done intentionally.
What does that mean, multiple people per Social Security number?
Meaning multiple people can share the same Social Security. It's built into the benefit system and the IRS and so on. The real intent is to permit legal immigrants who are staying in the U.S. to be a part of the system. Up to 75% of illegal immigrants have a valid Social Security number, meaning they're using someone else's Social Security number. Still valid, but it's somebody else's.
So they can all work using a legal resident's Social Security number.
Yeah, so I think these instances where you have 300-year-old people alive, they're not necessarily collecting Social Security money, but it does mean that someone else is using that number.
I see. Why do they have to be 300 years old? Like, why the age?
I think it's just a number they decided to use.
Okay. And growing up, obviously there was a lot of hurdles because of being deaf, for instance. How did you get into programming, overcome these hurdles? Have you been deaf from birth?
I became deaf when I was a baby, but I don't like the word overcome because it's just who I am. I went through life, did what I had to do. It's how my life has always been.
And it's almost like programming has become a way to communicate.
I've loved programming since I was young.
This is the thing about me. I'm lazy. And I've got a little bit of pride. I don't want to drive to the liquor store and then not know what wine to get and have to ask, oh, what wine should I get? And then they say like dumb questions. Well, do you like red or do you like white? What country do you like? I don't know anything. So that's why I love that I could go to Naked Wines, the sponsor of this podcast. I go to nakedwines.com, just order wine and have it delivered straight to my door. And look, I don't want to brag or anything, but I was sober for about, 2-3 years, completely sober. It was ruining my life. But I am proud to say I broke that sobriety by having a drink of my favorite naked wine, Brothers Miller. I got some naked wines delivered to my door. Brothers Miller, had a glass, ended that sobriety thing. That's boring. And look, I wanted to be the most interesting person at the party. That's what Naked Wines does. I went crazy. So look, this podcast is sponsored by Naked Wines. It's 2025, but don't shop for wine like it's 2005. Naked Wines is a service that directly connects you to the world's finest independent winemakers so you can get award-winning wine delivered straight to your door. Use the code JAMES for the code and the password at nakedwines.com and get their incredible deal of 6 bottles for just $39.99. I particularly like the Brothers Mill Chardonnay. You know why? Because I like Chardonnay because it's a little colder. I convinced myself I'm drinking a cool glass of refreshing water on a hot summer beach, even though it's the middle of winter, and lose my inhibitions. I can really tell her what I think. I mean, if you're married, you know what I'm saying. My voice has gotten higher and higher pitched every single year I've been married. What's wrong, honey? Do you want me? Did I not clean the bathroom? No problem. Naked Wines, you lose those inhibitions and your voice gets low again. Look, the couple that drinks Naked Wines together gets naked together. And Naked Wine's been around for over 15 years and funds over 90 independent winemakers around the world with no commitments or membership fees. You can enjoy Naked Wines hassle-free. And don't forget, you can pause or cancel at any time. So just because you've got a trip coming up doesn't mean you can't enjoy Naked Wines before or after that much-needed vacation. Now is the time to join the Naked Wines community. Head to nakedwines.com/James, click Enter Voucher, put in my name, that's the code, James, for both the code and the password, and you'll get 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99 with shipping included. So that's $100 off your first 6 bottles at nakedwines.com/James and use the code and password James for 6 bottles of wine for $39.99. And so what's next? Are you going to continue helping Doge uncover waste? What areas do you think they need to look at? Do you think Elon Musk is going to give up because of all the hate?
So far, it's been going with the flow and leaning into the latest discoveries like USGLC. Next, I'm working on a research project for university waste.
And what happened when you were doxxed? Like, why did someone want to dox you? How did you react? Did it affect your life?
Yeah, so about the doxing. It completely changed my life. What was so hurtful about it was that the man who doxed me, and he is a serial doxer. He will do this. He loves it. It's his favorite sport. An infamous doxer, also within the deaf community. He is a deaf man. He ousted the sexuality of a gay deaf actor. Even the deaf community doesn't like this guy. I think that's just something everyone has to keep in mind before they automatically side with doxer. That he, for fun, that's his fun. He likes to do this on a Saturday night.
And how did it change your life?
Well, I don't know. In every way possible. It's affected my entire family. I just came back from 6 weeks away because of threats. And it's not just me, my family. The Salt Lake Tribune was the worst because, they disclosed my husband's location. They really outed me. My husband's business, everything. He got all kinds of nasty threats through his contact form, on his business website. We just had to go away for a long time for our safety. And then literally the second day I got back home, like I had just come back home from 6 weeks away, the swatting started up again and I got all the pizza deliveries. And we decided to stay away for another week.
And can she sue the doxer?
Can I sue the doxer?
Or the newspaper?
maybe I'm naive, but this guy's not a great situation. I don't know what I get out of it. I'm a big believer in turning the other cheek, and I don't know why people are so upset. I don't know where it all ends.
And why do you think they don't want to expose government waste? Why does anybody not want to expose government waste? Regular people, not Congress people, but regular people.
I don't know, honestly. They don't think logically, or maybe they're paying people who will be the end all. I don't know. Maybe a lot of people just don't understand. This is a very entwined topic, and they need to understand that our deficit spending is going to end us all a lot sooner than we think. Even Jerome Powell said so. If you want nice things, like universal healthcare, then you have to support Doge. If the normal American citizen completely understood that a normal American makes $80,000 a year and they're taxed for most of it, like that pisses everyone off. So I don't know why more people are not upset.
And realistically, do you think we can reduce government spending enough?
Well, I'm avoiding saying this too much, if I'm being honest. But I think if Doge does not succeed, our next step is a convention of states. But that's the nuclear option.
So a convention of states to remove federal power and shut down a lot of federal governments and take the power back to state, somewhat like they're doing with the Department of Education.
Yeah. Yep, that.
What departments do you think you can shut down other than the Department of Education?
Personally,
Yes.
I want to shut down the Department of State. That's just me. I would like to shut down the IRS too. I mean, I think everybody would love that. But we'll see.
Do you think there's a lot of waste within the IRS? Like, I agree, shut down the IRS, but do you need a way for the government to make revenues to cover $4 to $6 trillion in annual spending?
Well, first, I think the home income is around $2.5 billion in waste. And so our deficit is just growing. It's huge. We don't even understand how much we spend truly. And I think we need to reduce a lot of things. We have to reduce the IRS a lot to make it more simple.
I agree. Maybe like a national sales tax?
But it's not. I mean, I'm on the fence, really. You need to understand, I'm on the fence on this. But I think the sales tax is more regressive. But I think it's a step in the right direction.
If there's $2.5 trillion of waste, is it from a lot of little sources? Or what is the one biggest source of waste? Like USAID was about $60 billion a year of waste. How do you get to $2.5 trillion?
Like I said before, I don't think it's simple as saying this program is all waste. It's not as simple as that. You have to look at the complete picture. And it's very ingrained and enmeshed. Like bureaucracy begets its own bureaucracy. They're begging for money to give to themselves.
It's almost like you have to start from scratch, eliminate everything, and then build up from there to really eliminate.
I mean, that's the ideal, for sure.
Well, look, I want to congratulate DataRepublican on all her success. It's great now that she is getting paid to do this very valuable work through her followers and subscriptions on Twitter. And it's great the impact she's been making. I mean, she's got almost 1 million followers. I'm one of them. I'm one of the subscribers. And my wife is as well.
Thank you so much. You guys are amazing.
And we're all very grateful. And I've learned so much by looking at her website and her tweets. It's the first thing I check every day. And I hope she succeeds at really finding more waste and corruption. And I encourage everybody listening to follow and subscribe to DataRepublican on Twitter. And how else can people help? How can people do their own research and help you and point you in ways where there might be waste? I want to fight waste.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So what people can do to help is that you can look for yourself. Go on my website and learn how to use it. And honestly, understand the website, it's powered by AI and it's very, very good. But AI is never perfect. humans are never perfect. So make sure if you find something suspect, you do that deep research, not just on my website, not just on social media, but everywhere you can, because the truth is what will help the American people realize what we need.
Can the AI point out where executives of NGOs might be related to or linked in some way to government officials that are not so clear?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, it can. That's the point. That's the exact point. I'm starting to use AI to do website searches and to do family connection searches. And that will be very powerful.
I wonder if on her website, she should make a kind of top 10 list. Here are the top 10 situations that people should further look at because they're questionable.
That's a really good idea. Thank you.
And how can people share with her if they find anything?
I've been delayed, but I should set up an email so that people can contact me and let me know what to look into. I'm sure it will be a gigantic inbox.
That's the thing.
And understand, like, I have my own list of things that I want to look at, and I can't do it all at once. I'm getting.
She should share that list so that people could then help her research. Kind of like how she's talking now about USGLC.
Not a bad idea. I'll think about that. That actually would be nice.
Well, thank you so much for spending the time on the podcast. I admire what you do because I feel like I want to quit everything and do Doge and uncover waste, be like a detective of waste and fraud. And you're actually doing it and you get to do it. It's very exciting. And I hope people listening will do their own research and help you and further this cause. Because you're right, $36 trillion in debt. U.S. needs to solve this problem. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. We need to cut this waste.
Absolutely. The American people deserve better. I don't care who is in control. It's just the debt keeps getting bigger. Debt means no money to spend for either party. And that's a problem. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, it does not matter. This waste, this corruption, it's deep. And it's put us all in a state of debt. And you can't have any more nice things until you solve the debt. And I think Doge would be everyone's starting point.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope your kids feel better. And thank you again for sharing this information. And it was really nice meeting you, and good luck.
Pluto TV has all the shows and movies you love streaming for free. That means laughter is free with gut-busting comedies like The Neighborhood, Boomerang, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Bueller. Mystery is free with countless cases to crack from Criminal Minds, Tracker, and Matlock.
I'm a lawyer, like the old TV show.
And thrills are free with heart-pumping hits like The Walking Dead and Pulp Fiction.
Correctamundo.
Feel the free Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never. Are you looking for your next case? Pluto TV has all your favorite crime dramas streaming for free.
You're gonna need some backup.
Which means suspense is free.
Very cool.
Watch CSI New York, Criminal Minds, Blue Bloods, Tracker, FBI, and SWAT all for free.
You can't outrun this.
Someone is gonna pay for all this crime. But it's not gonna be you.
Take care of business, fellas.
Watch all the cases, all for free, from all your favorite devices.
We got you.
Feel the free Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Find yourself looking for a new job or change in career? Monster.com is here to help. We are not only here to bring you job postings, but also AI interview prep and salary tools, expert career advice, and top-notch resume services. We've got everything you need to land your perfect job fit. Discover the magic of finding the ideal job with Monster.com. Your future starts now. Visit Monster.com today. Your next job opportunity is just a click away.